Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud.
And Famous Dave.
Oh, famous now. Oh, seems
Oh,
like
shit.
last
Was I supposed
week.
to be Hardcore Dave?
It was only last week you were hardcore. Now you jumped over softcore, and now you're just famous.
I have too many monikers. I can't keep them all straight.
This is the Double Agents premiere recap. License to Killer Cam. I know, just starting right off, because it's a visual, we only have like a couple of visuals of us actually doing the podcast. You are not that much of a Cam person, are you, Dave?
Oh, I thought you were talking about cameras. You're talking about Cam, the person. Killer Cam.
yes, yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess it all fits.
I used to love Cam, but she's slowly like worn me down because she's very aggressive a lot of the times. You know, Cam's got a lot of attitude, and you know, it's fine at times, but then sometimes she's just over the top, and everything is a big deal. But you can tell, true. Like, I mean, you know, you'll see it in that episode that Cam, if you get on her bad side, she's unrelenting. She will just go at you. Like, that's what happens to CT because he didn't pick Cam. So Cam, if she feels slighted in any way, she gets super salty about it. She takes it personally, and then she just wants to have her revenge. Wow. And then you see Leroy, and he's just like, Leroy's even terrified. It's like he's in an abusive relationship. He's just like, whatever you want, Cam. Yeah, I'll vote whatever you say.
Wow. So you're on her list now. If she ever stumbles upon this little show, she's gonna be like, No, okay. I will acknowledge one thing. You mentioned this before. You were like, she changed. And I'm like, yeah, she did. I think her first one was Vendettas, I want to say. And she was amazing on it. She still is. But when she came back, her voice definitely changed, in my opinion. It got a lot more sassier. And it seems like a lot, you know, some women will be like, oh, what does that mean? Like she's sticking up for herself finally against you fucking, what's it, patriarchy? Yeah. Against that, you know,
yeah, she's not
I'm just saying,
I'm
just saying she literally changed her voice. So like she's like, hi, I'm Cam in Vendettas. And then when she came back, she's like, I'm Cam or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, she suddenly has attitude. Start. She's like, I'm toxic Cleopatra.
No.
I'm a whole lot of woman.
I feel like this is some murky stuff for two black women to be discussing, but I don't know. I just feel, I feel exactly how you feel and what we're about to see with CT. Like, don't slight Cam is what we're getting at, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so this was you don't usually care, but this was watched by 900,000 people. It didn't crack 1 million, not like last season's premiere. What does that tell you?
Well, there's no Johnny Bananas this year.
Oh, shit, really?
You know?
You think that's that 100,000? He at least brings 100,000 viewers?
Yeah, probably.
That's his tap out or whatever? Yeah?
And I didn't feel, there was like no promotion for this season at all. Like, I had no idea it was going to premiere until like 9 days before it came out. It was like a week. Yeah, it was a little over a week. All of a sudden, it was just like, yeah, next Wednesday. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, I'm looking at the calendar. I'm like, holy crap. It's out of nowhere.
Oh, maybe that's in keeping with the secret agent theme.
Yeah.
How do you like
MTV, MTV wasn't going to release the info.
Yeah, and when a trailer was released, it was a leak, right? I think it was Snowden. No.
Oh, really?
That doesn't make any sense.
Wasn't
Snowden
Julian Assange?
I don't know that name.
Oh, yeah.
You lost me. Anyways, let's start off the episode. Let's start off the episode in what I want to call, let's watch 3 minutes worth of money burn on the screen. It's nothing but TJ, long beautifully cinematic shots of TJ walking around in a bunker, flying around on, and he's on the beach and shit like that. But why though? Is he that huge? Is he that important to justify all those shots, Dave?
He is, because MTV tells us he is that important. Like, TJ's wearing like this awesome jacket. I know you didn't seem to care for this. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this is badass. TJ's wearing this awesome jacket that's probably like, $10,000 jacket. Like, it looks badass. They got like the cool like chopper with like the challenge written on it, cool decal. It was like a James Bond movie. I'm a huge James Bond fan, so like all these like double agents and like classified information and all this stuff. They show like TJ, and they show like a map, and it has like the different years, and then they're showing like the locations of where the challenge is taking place all over the map. And it was really cool. I liked it a lot. I know you're not a fan of TJ, and like I'm not like a big fan of TJ either. He's kind of just there. He doesn't really add anything or take anything away. He's just there. But I thought it was cool. I liked it.
The one thing I'll add is that when he's in front of that map, in the spots where they had challenges, starts like filling up the globe. I'm like, that's in poor taste. That looks like the fucking pandemic spreading all over the place. That's what I gathered from it. But yeah, there's, like I said, there's 3 solid minutes. Like him, even once he gets when he touches down next to the cast. Then the cast are like, oh, it's TJ. And then it takes all that time for him to walk, take his glasses off, all that shit. But at 3 minutes, that's where he's like, hey, welcome to... He actually says the name of the challenge, which is sort of rare these days. He actually said double agents. Usually you never, like rumor has it, this was supposed to be Bloody Hell, or, you know what I mean? That sort of thing. Yeah. So this is official. They really thought this up. There's so much spy-like themes to all this.
Yeah, it's different than last year, where they wouldn't they didn't say the name of the season. Like TJ would never say it. It would always have to be like dubbed in, because they filmed the entire season and then they changed the name of it from Bloody Hell to what was it, Total Madness. So yeah, I like. It seems like production has figured out the premise, what they're doing, and it's just like, okay, now they're just following through with it. And all of this like production behind TJ, it's because they're making TJ like the producer. He is the producer on the show, because you're in TJ's final. That's what you're trying to get to. It's all about TJ. You're going to be in his final, TJ is the boss man. Like, that's what they're kind of trying to show us or tell us.
Right. Yeah. He says like somewhere around here, there's a giant hole, and that's where $1 million is. And so that means the final is definitely going to be close, around. And the other thing is, it kind of reminded me of The Island. Remember when TJ's like, you see that island over there? There's like, I don't know how much, $500,000 or whatever. And what happened? Abe, he's like, oh, fuck this. And he just starts hacking down this tree and starts to try and make a raft to just go over that island and grab it like right away. And I was like, could he win? Like, that would have been amazing. But they were like, no, you got to do all this shit. So if Abe was there, he probably would have just started to hike off and just look for that giant hole. Like, that's what he would have done. You know what I mean? I miss Abram. Fuck. All right, let's get to the mission. And it's actually called Mission Decryption. We're gonna do this in 2 heats, female then male. You got to run up a little patch of gravel, I want to say, right? A little hill. Yeah. And then look for what looks like the pill speaker. And on that pill speaker is a bunch of colors, and you got to memorize it, right?
I thought it looked like one of those things at the bank that go in like that tube. And you sign your check, and you put it in that little tube, and then you put it in the vacuum suction, and it whoosh, and then it goes up.
That's right. Yeah. But it's funny though because TJ, he's like, "You're gonna run up this volcano." Like, come on, this is like how a science fair has a volcano,
Yeah,
like that.
and
Yeah,
they're not even decrypting anything. It's just like a bunch of colors on a sticker on the outside of this thing, and everyone's just fighting over the same. It's just a puzzle key. Everyone's fighting over it to look at it, try and memorize it, and go back to their little box and put the wires in a certain order. I thought it was kind of underwhelming. It was kind of lame for a first challenge to do because
yeah.
what was the season where like it was episode 1 and they're like, okay, we're at the Rock of Gibraltar. We're gonna go like 5 miles up this mountain, and and then you have like Rogan is like dying and his back hurts. It was like his rookie year, he couldn't do it. Cara Maria, who talked all this shit, suddenly she's like, she's getting beat out by people who are rookies. It was great to see like the competition, and like this was just like, okay, whatever.
Well, you know what happened? They got to it and they're like, producers like, wait a minute, we don't have any money for this mission. We spent it all on the goddamn helicopter for TJ. That's what happened. All those shots. So what they have to do is just memorize the color. There's a moment which is amazing at first, and then when you start to think about it, and once you finish watching it, you're like, oh, that didn't mean anything. But Lolo Jones, like going up the hill faster than everyone else, that moment was kind of cool. But then Tori like snatches it away and stuff. That was pretty sweet. I like that. But in the end, it's like, hey, why don't we all just work together and just place it down? Everyone memorize the color, because people are trying to like just hold it and just memorize it for themselves while they're getting tackled and stuff. But none of them win. I don't think Fessy really had the pill, did he?
Hang on, let's pause it right there.
But yeah. There's a moment where Nicole is trying to work with Lolo. She's like, Lolo, what color? What color? Yellow? Papa? Like, it was pointless. Well, one, she was helping someone else. I mean, she could have been, offering up like, hey, let's work together. But no one can understand you, Nicole. Terrell was pointing that out. It was great.
Yeah, it made no sense because Nicole is trying to help Lolo, but like if you're working together, then how the hell did you not win? Like that makes no sense. Like you were working together. I didn't see anyone else working together and you still can't win. And like, so was Nicole, like she sees Lolo. She's like, okay, she's an attractive, athletic female. So that is Nicole's type. So is Nicole just interested in helping Lolo for the game, the politics side of the game, or for a relationship? Or does Nicole even know anymore? She's just drawn to these types, and if it helps, I don't know. She wants the political game to work out for her, but she also wants a relationship with every athletic female on the show.
Yeah, she's there's no turning her off. I do have one question though. I mean, and it does regard Lolo, is because previously seen on the spinoff, she was a virgin, right? That was sort of a big thing where she's like,
oh yeah,
you don't remember that? Yeah, exactly. So what if Nicole is going to be the frontiersman or woman? I mean, frontiersman. Frontiers woman, right?
Frontiers person.
Frontiers person. Yes, of course. I mean, she could. I'll watch her take a whack at it, so to speak. So that's great. The other thing I want to throw out here that I've been noticing lately is like they're all like, hey, check. So people are like frantically saying, check. How many people are just like live counting, making sure that they win? Or are they literally sitting around waiting for TJ to come up and like, oh, what color is that? Like, does this match? Do you win? Not everyone has a cameraman on them,
Yeah. I thought the whole purpose of it was you put in the wires, you hit the button, and if you had it in there correctly, your little smoke signal goes off and you win. But the wires are not connected to anything because they spent all that money in production on the chopper in TJ's jacket, or they couldn't, like, just put together like a simple circuit. So like you put the wires in correctly, you hit the button and a light turns on, like something like that. Instead,
exactly.
Yeah, TJ's running around and he's probably got like a little Post-it note in his pocket and he's looking at the colors, and like Anissa's got it right and he's checking her. But meanwhile, 3 other people could have it right too.
Yeah, like, exactly.
He's trying to check the answers for 15 different people.
Yeah, because imagine if someone says check and they're going to have it wrong, because it does happen to a couple people. So I don't know. It would make me nervous as hell, competing like that. Yeah. So, Anissa wins.
Yeah, Anissa wins, which is kind of a shocker because Anissa's not that great. And the one thing I do like about this episode is they just they like to remind us that Anissa always loses before a final. She always comes up short. She's been there 14 years and she's failed every time. And I'm not a fan of Anissa, so it's kind of hilarious. But like, they are really like piling on and just burying her. Like, you can mention she's a veteran and she's never won, but like they just mention it so many times, and it's just like, okay, we get it. She loses a lot and never wins.
Yeah, I don't know. They would have to. That's not why I dislike her, though. There's a lot of things that she's done, a lot of people she's screwed over. And this will just highlight that fact again. Where at the end we're kind of skipping a little bit, but she's gonna be like, I'm gonna finally play my game. You say that every season. That's why you've betrayed Diem. You've betrayed, you've always kind of undercut people throughout your entire career.
Yep.
That's not helping how I view her. Besides not winning,
Yeah, and like Anissa always does this thing, and I was just rewatching an older season. I think it was Fresh Meat 2. No, it wasn't Fresh Meat 2. It was like the Duel 2. And there's Anissa and Rachel are like really good friends. They're not lesbian friends, but they're really good friends. And then Rachel decides she's going to start like making out with Jen or something like that.
Wait. Rachel and Anissa were exes.
Oh, they were exes.
Isn't that the thing?
Yeah. But they're just friends at this point. They're no longer together. And then Rachel decides to like make out with Jen and hang out with Jen, the new rookie. And then Anissa gets super jealous and it becomes this whole giant thing. And Rachel's just like, I'm just hanging out with someone. Just like, leave me alone. But Anissa like just takes it super personally and like ruins her friendship with Rachel basically because Rachel decided to hang out with somebody else. And it's just like, I'm not your property anymore. We're not dating. I can hang out with who I want. But Anissa would not allow Rachel to do that.
No.
It was, I don't know. You can go through like lots of seasons and then like how Anissa, like she's throwing drinks in Kellyanne's face. And I mean, you can say there's a reason behind it, but it was still childish either way. It was childish by both people. But I don't know. There's just year after year, Anissa is just does things. And she's a lot like Nany in a way where.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many things about their personality where they just have to get into fights with people for no apparent reason, it seems like.
Yeah. I mean, they're really good at the part where production wants drama. That's for sure. Right?
Yeah. And Anissa, the only thing Anissa can do well, and I'll give her this, is she's good at kind of like narrating a little bit and talking over things, but that's about it. Like that's like competitive wise, she's not that great.
No. And, I mean, if we acknowledge that CT had a dad bod, Anissa definitely has the dad bod as well. Oh, mom bod. Yeah, sure.
Oh, does she have a dad bod?
What's the difference, really? Sympathetic pregnant dad bod. How about that? Okay. Wow. All right, let's get on to the male heat. The only thing I have written down of any significance, I suppose, is when CT tries to take out Wes with the shoe. Austin Powers style.
It was an accident.
And he didn't try to. He did. I thought that's what you were going to say because Wes goes down. He's boom. It was
So someone was trying to climb up the pile, and CT's trying to pull that person's leg off, and he pulls off his shoe. And like Wes, like no offense, but like what the fuck are you doing just standing behind CT and not even participating? I don't think Wes was even trying to win this at all. He just kind of looked at it and was like, well, this is going to be like a wasted effort because I'm not going to be able to like get in there and do my thing, like whatever. So Wes is just standing behind CT, kind of just watching the challenge or the mission take place.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I might have done the same thing where I'm like, well, eventually everyone lets go and is doing their puzzle. I'll look at the piece and memorize it as much as possible one time, maybe. I don't know. But thing is that, it's a big how to do, lots of minutes dedicated to like Wes getting hit in the face, and TJ's laughing his ass off. And, that's another thing I don't really like about him. He's like a fucking hyena, he's like I don't know. How old is TJ? He's got to be creeping up on 40 and he still acts like a 22-year-old. You know what I mean? And he's like laughing his ass off.
TJ, he's eternally young.
He's laughing his ass off. But then again, this is where it doesn't make any sense. He's so young and dumb, where he's like, so stupid. And I'm like, well, what is stupid? Are you calling Wes stupid? He was just standing there. Are you calling CT stupid? He was simply, you know what I mean? Like, what exactly are you saying is so stupid? Because that's what he was you know what I mean? I don't know. Let's get off of TJ.
Okay. You're overanalyzing. Remember, MTV is the network that brings us ridiculousness. They've had Jackass. It's just a bunch of people getting smacked in the face by random shit. So this is right down MTV's alley. Just like, someone getting bonked in the head. My girlfriend, she watches the show with me. And anytime like TJ is laughing or is part of the action, she loves it. She just absolutely loves TJ.
God.
It's her favorite part of the show. So
yeah, but
she may not like TJ. Just remember, you're probably in the minority here because I think a lot of people really like TJ.
I know I'm in the minority on that, but also I'll say, give it time, Brooke. You might like it now. I did once as well. You never know. All right. Skipping just to the end, Fessy wins. Who knew he was good at puzzles, I guess. Again, this isn't that impressive to me, even if, for an opener, it's not very impressive. Just in general, it wasn't very impressive, I feel like in Total Madness, there was a lot more. It was on a bigger stage, This one was kind of just on a little bitty beach, and you have to climb up a little bitty hill and plug in these little bitty wires. It was very underwhelming.
Yeah, I thought they could have done it better. I think they should have had them like running down the beach, like a quarter mile or a half mile. Then you see the code, and then you got to run back, put some obstacles in their way or something. Yeah. But instead, you're just scrambling over the same puzzle piece. It's kind of just chaos, but whatever.
Or have them swim in that amazing water that's right there.
Give them all hypothermia. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So TJ announces Aneesa was actually faster than Fessy, so she gets to choose. She gets the choice of any man.
She gets the first. He announces that this is double agents and that this will be played in partners, and that Aneesa gets the first pick in the draft. She gets her, her pick of the litter.
Well, okay. God, I want to jump forward where at the end, where Natalie wins, and they're like, you could choose anyone to join. You could replace their partner or whatever. TJ never actually said any male partner, she could go. Anyways, let's just.
I've been thinking the same thing. I was thinking that after the episode, I was like, so what is it? Can it be girl teams or guy teams? Like that was never mentioned. At least, I only watched it once. I don't remember that being mentioned.
And spoilers, this episode isn't really complete in my eyes. Even though these episodes now are about an hour and a half long, something like that, the producers still can't help but make this to be continued, and it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
Yeah.
very unfortunate.
Let's move on. Let's see here. Okay, so she chooses Fessy. I don't think anyone wanted to be picked by Anissa. So
yeah, you can see Fessy is like looking away. He's like pulling up his collar and his shirt, trying to hide himself. Like nobody wants to be Anissa's partner.
yeah, and you know, Anissa even says like, "Oh, Fessy might not like this, but I'm gonna whatever." But Anissa was probably gonna have to say that no matter who she picked. I know that he doesn't want this, but you know, too bad or whatever. So, do you want to talk about the people that choose people, or do you? Should we cover that real quick? The partners, I guess.
Yeah. Let's go through all the pairs, and yeah, we'll talk about who picked who.
Yeah, but let's try and do this quickly, right?
Okay.
Corey and Tori. You know how this happened? Corey was standing right above Tori and just says, "You and me," and she's like, "Yeah." If I was Tori, I wouldn't have been so quick to take that. In fact, CT wanted you. You know?
Well, I literally thought in my mind. I'm like CT. Who's going to be paired with CT because this will be an amazing team. And I'm like, who are the best girls? I'm like, if it's CT and Lolo or CT and Tori, those were like the two options in my head. Or I'm like, that would be an amazing team. And then to see Tori with Corey, I was like, huh. I'm like, it's a good team, but I think Tori could have done better. And I say that of every girl that has ever been with Corey. I think you could have done better.
I don't know. Maybe they'll. It doesn't really matter though. Again, apparently you can switch teams.
Yes.
So now who knows how long that team will even last. So I was going to be a lot more upset about these picks, but turns out it doesn't really matter. You know, it could just constantly be in flux. Moving on to Teresa and Jay. Jay looks different. It looks like he lost a shitload of hair. I mean, I have nothing to, who am I to say, because my recession is real, Dave. But yeah, he seemed to age like 2 or 3 years, 5 years, something like that. It looks like he's had a couple of kids and a mortgage that keeps him up at night or something like that.
I mean, Jay had to, he probably had to sell his soul to get that win over CT. So he's on borrowed time now.
But he's with Teresa. Teresa, not that bad. She was never that great, but she had her best season in her last in X's when she was with Wes. So
X's too, yeah.
Yeah. So this might be good.
I think they're a team that in elimination, I don't think they're particularly strong. Jay has a good track record. He did have that win over CT, and a couple other wins over a couple of scrubs. But Teresa, I don't think is that great in elimination. But I think in like daily missions, I think they're athletic enough where they won't be getting last place. I think they'll be kind of in the middle of the pack.
Real quick, if they have the choice to reunite after elimination, will they or no?
No, I think Jay. Well, I think people are going to play it tentative at first and not switch things up. And then as the season wears on, we'll see more switching of teams, kind of like in Total Madness 2, was it? Or not Total Madness 2, War of the Worlds 2.
Yeah.
Where you saw people jumping from Team UK or USA to UK and whatnot.
Yeah. And the other thing is, since this is to be continued, we don't know what happens to a partner that's left. Do they get eliminated? You know what I mean? Which would be so fucking lame. It'll be the lamest thing since Bloodlines.
No, they become like a free agent. They're not gone.
Do you know that?
I thought it was like implied.
Because I told you to stay away from spoilers. It sounds like you're already like, yeah, well, maybe they're free agents. Really? Free agents?
Yeah. And so next time when someone else gets eliminated, you can, choose your own partner, choose one from the crowd, or choose that person who's standing over there and doesn't have a partner.
Ooh, I like that. Okay. Because I was ready to get really pissed off about something that, yeah, it could have been bad. I was like, well, what if CT isn't chosen, does he just walk away? Like that would be lame. So I like that idea. That's cool. I feel a lot better about the season overall now that that's been brought up. Actually,
I mean, that just seems like the logical thing to do. I don't know why they would do it any other way. It makes too much sense, but who knows?
Okay, Nany and Kyle. What do you think?
This is like a perfect pairing, Nany and Kyle. Like I love this pairing. It's like the two like super slutty people who always have the random hookups every season, and it's like, and now they're together. Like, what are the odds that like they're gonna end up drunk and making out at some point this season, right?
They don't have to be drunk, and they both know it. We know it too. You know it as well. The whole time, someone brought this up, and I don't want to bring up, people that podcast that are not us, our competition, but they're like, oh my gosh, Nany she's the political person, and so is Kyle. I'm like, no, Nany is not. Nany is terrible. She's very much like Aneesa, where she always says every season, I have to play my game. It's always that same thing. So I don't know. I think if Kyle or Nany win, would they want to stay together? Perhaps. Maybe if they're sexually involved, they will want to. So, but yeah, who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, their political game is basically just globbing onto an alliance of people with votes. However, they're never in the hierarchy of that alliance. So eventually they're at the bottom of the totem pole, and then they end up getting voted in because no one really values them that much.
Yeah, exactly. Next is Devin and Nicole. This is a weird mix, but I kind of like it.
I like it too. You have Devin, this political mastermind, this super cocky guy who's all about he's just like this mastermind brain of like evil intentions. He's like a freaking villain. It's great. And then Nicole is super athletic and super annoying and just like this outrageous character. I like both of them, and together it's cool because it's very combustible, Not necessarily towards each other. I think they'll work well together, but towards other teams are going to start hating them. I can see just missions happening, people getting pissed off at them and then wanting to vote for them. Like, it's going to be exciting, I think.
You said that Devin reminded you of like an evil villain of sorts. Now, it just made me fully realize that the combo's nice. Nicole is actually a cop. Could you imagine getting pulled over by Nicole? I'd be fucking scared.
Seriously.
Yeah. She's like, license and registration or what, I wouldn't be able to understand what she was saying. And she'd probably fucking pull her gun out at me while I was like reaching for it and shit. Like, I don't want to run into Nicole on her beat. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, why is she drawing her gun on you, Vince?
Hey, I had a cop grab at his gun when I reached for the glove compartment too quickly. That shit happens, man. That shit happens.
Oh yeah, they do it all. If you reach for anything.
Oh my god.
I got pulled over, and there was all of a sudden there was 4 cars parked behind me. There's spotlights on me. They boxed me in, and I'm like, I'm just driving home from work.
Back from work. Okay, well, Devin and Nicole, do they stay together or do they fucking leave each other?
If you can switch partners and get like a same-sex partner, Nicole will definitely pick up like Lolo, or Casey, or one of these females. Like I could see Nicole doing that, and Devin, I could see Devin doing the same. If Devin thinks he can get Tori, and that would be an upgrade, or maybe Lolo or Natalie, the girl from
who's already with Lolo. If they can do same sex, Devin and Wes would be fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, it would be.
Yeah, I mean, like we already saw Devin kind of like learning from Wes on previous seasons of the spinoff. Okay, next we have Wes and Natalie. I don't know Natalie at all, but apparently people are stoked to see her.
Yeah. So like Natalie won her season of Survivor, and like she's known as one of the most like best female physical competitors out there. So then she was on the Survivor All Stars, where it's like all winners together, and she got second place on that.
Wow.
She carries a very big reputation. I've never seen it, but there's a lot of hype behind her. And for Wes to just pick out, like, I just thought it was like, oh, Wes is going to go after some rookie girl, because Wes always kind of gets those partners. Like, he did it with Dee. He did it with, like, Mandy. Was it Mandy or Casey? Like, he gets, like, these unknown rookie girls, and then he coaches them along. But, like, this time, like, Wes gets a rookie, but, like, she seems like a legit good competitor. So,
yeah,
I really like the pairing.
This is our third Survivor now, right? There was Turbo, Jay, and now Natalie, I think. And both Turbo and Jay have been very impressive. So this is cool. And then she's also like, right away, she's like, how many finals? And Wes is like 9 or whatever, however many finals he's been on. And I remember Darrell, he was like, I was gonna go in for Natalie, but then Wes kind of slithers in and sucks her up. But Natalie actually said, she's like, Darrell's too much, you know, he's very awesome, but he doesn't have any pull in the game, which is very true, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then it turns out, because eventually Wes and Natalie, they're talking afterwards when they're in the home. And she's like, should I intimidate girls or just kind of lay low? And Wes is like, just wait for a cycle. Basically saying, wait a couple episodes. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's great.
Yeah, and that's Wes's thing, and that's Wes's biggest weakness, is he tries to start making power moves too early. And like, just like, this is what happens with Aneesa, and we're going to talk about it later. If you have power right away, you don't necessarily want to make a power move. You know, you can do those power moves when you get power. Once you're 4 or 5 episodes in, you do it right away. It puts a target on you, and it usually tends to backfire.
I'll say maybe Wes was more gung ho or more bullheaded in the earlier years, but lately I would say he doesn't use that he uses his power to just kind of make friendships and throw in the typical rookie. You know what I mean? So that's the way, you know, so that kind of works. But yeah, Aneesa is totally different. Yeah. Wes and Natalie, I think. Oh, we don't know. That was the end of the episode. Whether she'll stay with Wes, take CT, but I think she chose Wes for a reason. I think she'll stay with him.
Yeah, but like, they did leave us with like a little bit of doubt, because Natalie said, like, was this a mistake partnering up with Wes, because Wes does have a lot of enemies, because people fear Wes because of his political game and the way he tries to manipulate and control things. So
yeah, but who does she go to? I mean, she already said Darrell's very good, but he has no pull or whatever, you know. So
yeah,
I don't know.
And this is the first episode. Like, what is the point of like saying, "Hey, I want to go be with CT and be his partner"? Well, someone's probably just going to steal your partner anyways. So just stick with who you got for now, and then once we get down the road, then you can, if you want to make a play for a different partner, then do it halfway through the season at least.
Yeah. Next we have Darrell and Amber B. I don't know who Amber B is, but she's from Big Brother.
I don't know either. I felt really bad for Darrell. It was like Darrell being partnered with rookie Cara Maria, where you're like, oh yeah, okay, maybe they'll be good. But then Cara Maria wasn't good. She was only a rookie. This girl Amber, like, I know nothing about her, but when you're seeing like her and Gabby or whoever talking in the house, I'm just like looking at both of these girls and I'm like, all right, which one of you is going home first? Because they look like the typical rookies that get sent home episode 1 or 2.
Yeah, and not only that, but Darrell even says, he's like, I don't really trust Big Brother people. They tell you what you want to hear to your face, but he's like, I don't really trust her. He says that about his own partner, you know?
Yeah. Remember Natalie? The girl from Big Brother, where she would tell you what you want to hear, and she would just make alliances with basically everyone in the house, tell you she's going to be your friend with everyone in the house. And it's like, that's not how this works. You can't be on everyone's side.
But it was a lot of fun when she was just stringing Bananas along forever. Remember,
Yeah.
Bananas was always like, "Are we gonna make out yet?" And she's like, "Yeah, yeah, in a couple episodes. Don't worry." They never did.
Yeah, she's actually a lesbian, and she just kind of like toyed with Bananas, strung them along, and then she started to she made a friendship with what's his name, Nelson, and then immediately stabbed him in the back.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like
that's
later
right.
that episode. So
She,
like that's a
she,
typical Big Brother person, is they kind of just try and that's why like Josh is like a really dumb version of that, where at least like Natalie could kind of pull it off a little bit for a while. Josh is just completely unable to do so.
Okay, so next we have Gabby and Leo. I don't know. I don't remember anything from these guys really. They don't have too much time on the show.
Yeah. I think Leo is the WWE wrestler, and then Gabby is the blonde girl. I don't know what she's from, though. Yeah, I think. I could be wrong.
I don't remember. Oh, right. Yeah, that sounds. Yeah, because Gabby, she cries, and then the girl's kind of like, "Oh, you're fine." I think they're all British. I think Big T's there, and some other person's there. That's about it that I remember. And Leo's the wrestler, right? Is that what
I
you
think
said?
so.
Yeah, he's the one who's like, CT, you're a huge guy, but I could flip, double. I could flip guys who are twice as big as you or something like that, right? And I just want to say, I remember back in the day, I really wanted CT to go to WWE, man. I was like, hey, the guy could cut a promo. But man, a long time's happened since then. CT, that's what he gained when he gained the dad bod. But now he's kind of in shape now. A little bit, right?
Yeah. I think a little bit more. There was definitely a point where like when CT did the Bananas backpack thing, like that was like peak CT, when you're like, oh yeah, this guy could go into wrestling and just like fuck dudes up, and it would have been exciting. Yeah,
but now it's more like
CT's time has passed. I'm sorry.
He's more like peak CTE. Speaking of wrestlers, no, let's. I do want to throw one more thing about CT kind of being in shape. Apparently, he was single. He kind of broke it off with his girlfriend or his wife, right? Aren't they married or something like that?
Went through a divorce.
Really? Wow. But they're back together now or some shit. Anyways, my theory, something like that. But my theory is that CT is like, listen, if I'm single, I will start actually giving a damn about my body because I want to put myself on the marketplace, aka I'll get back in shape. So we got to break this thing off. I'm gonna go back into the challenge single and ready to mingle, but also be in shape. And I think that's what happened. I think it was a strategy, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I want to say I'll never understand it, but I understand it. It's like once you break up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, you're like, all right, now I'm actually going to try and work on myself, and I'll get in a good shape. And it's just like, see, this is why your relationship didn't work out, is because you just let yourself go.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are just like, yeah, as soon as I get married or whatever, I'm just letting the shit go. I'm like, well, you don't have to. Like, you could still kind of eat well, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not drink as much and shit like that. All right, next we have Josh and Cam, and this was, I don't know, I laughed when Cam goes up to CT and CT's like, what? Why? And she's like, because I kick ass, I can do anything or everything or something like that.
Yeah, she's like, I'm Cam.
Yeah, I didn't really. That's very just like CT going up to someone or anyone, like, no, that'd be like you going up to CT and he's like, why, Dave? Why? And you're like, because I'm hardcore Dave. That doesn't mean anything to him. He's never, it's like, oh, you have a nickname? Like, that doesn't sell me. You know what I mean? So I kind of understood why he didn't, but it's also because he was already pissed off he couldn't get Tori. Then Cam's like, hey, how about me? And he's like, he's kind of looking around and he spots Ashley. And Cam just says, because I'm Killer Cam. Like, that's not gonna sell him, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed to me like CT is like the senior in high school, who's got like the varsity jacket. and then Cam is like this really badass sophomore. But like CT is just like, who are you? You're nobody. You're nothing. You're down here. But like, what do you think this was a mistake though? Do you think CT should have gone with Cam?
I wouldn't have minded it actually. No, I think that could have been a cool pairing. And then a lot of people, or some people, were like, "So you pick Ashley over Cam?" And that's what I was kind of thinking too. I'm like, Ashley's good, but there's a price to be paid. Lots of money for Hunter, to be exact. You know what I mean? Like Hunter's like, "Where's my?" He's pulling out the insides of his, pockets. He's like, "Where's my fucking money, bitch? Whore," And CT even acknowledges that. He's like, I'm just kind of scared of you taking my paycheck and shit. And Ashley's like, "Oh no." But yeah,
so
terrible.
I think like CT going with Ashley, like Ashley has better endurance for like long distance runs. And I think that's what hurts Cam is her endurance. Because we've seen her in finals and her endurance isn't that great. And then also with puzzles, she's a little iffy.
That's true.
She does have like the political game in the house, and she has like alliances where Ashley does not. I can go back and forth. For me, I thought CT's best option was Tori.
Yeah.
And when that didn't happen, I thought it was Lolo because Lolo is like an Olympian and CT has a political game where he could carry Lolo. And then I also thought Casey. I thought Casey would be a good pairing for CT.
Casey? Oh, right. Yeah, I was thinking of the other Casey. The one on the ruins where they kept her on the team just because she was so horrible. Remember the champions?
Yeah.
They're like, keep her on there. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No. Casey would have been good, but again, CT didn't know who Cam was. He's not going to know who Casey is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, who? What's a Cam? Like,
there is the history. There is the history where when CT won in Thailand on was it Dirty 30 or I forget the name of the season. Where Ashley also won. Was it Vendettas?
Invasion,
yeah. Where CT and Ashley both won that season. So CT's seen Ashley in a final firsthand. So that's what he has a level of trust in her and confidence.
Yeah. Josh and Cam, I don't think they stay together if they win. I mean, well, I don't think Cam does. I think Cam would move. I think Josh is a bad partner to have, personally.
For sure. Like I don't think Josh has ever won an elimination.
He did. But by cheating though, I think.
Against who?
I don't know who against, but I think it was when he was paired with Cam, right? Didn't they cheat? They're like, you're not supposed to go back to back and climb up the thing, but then they're like, well, they fell before. I don't know. It's weird. Should we move on?
Okay, yeah. And it's the only reason that Cam and Josh are together is because Cam and Leroy, who are dating now again, they didn't want to be on the same team because then you don't have as many votes basically when you're voting for stuff. So Cam and Leroy split, and then they kind of just looked at the two people who were standing next to them, and that was Josh and is it Casey? Is that Leroy's partner?
Yes.
I was like, look at your notes.
The other thing is that moment when CT kind of it was pretty rude the way he just kind of walks off. But Cam is like, no, this is going to be the main thread of the plot. Me being spurned by you, jilted.
Yeah. And it's not just that CT didn't want to be Cam's partner. It was the fact that Cam got stuck with Josh. Like
that's
that
a silent
was
rage.
The big blow. If it was like Cam and Darrell, like I don't know, like why was Cam and Darrell not even a team? Like why is Darrell going with a rookie unknown when Cam was right there? Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just mind-boggling how they came up with these partners. Some of these people.
Okay, well then, first of all, I think that'll happen within seconds. TJ's like, just choose someone. That's pretty lame, actually. And why couldn't we do more of like a like when they chosen partners on Fresh Meat, you got a file and you got to look up their stats. That's more secret agent than just like pick someone out from the crowd, you know? Yeah. It doesn't tie in with being a secret agent to me.
Yeah, I that is true. Like it would have been better if they would have done a mission, and then if you're in the top half of the guys and top half of the girls, whoever finishes it in the top half, they get to, you know, choose their partners in a way, you know?
Yeah. But this was weird. He's like, TJ's like, part of being a secret agent is trusting your instincts. Yeah, well, even if you trust your instincts, that doesn't mean that they're not going to get scooped up by someone else. Then you're not trusting your instincts. You're just like, well, what's the alternative, you know? So, whatever.
But next, ultimately, it doesn't even matter because if you're stuck with a Josh like Cam is, when Josh gets eliminated in an elimination and he's gone, Cam will get to choose CT by force, and she'll be like, CT, you're my partner now. Like, you have no choice in the matter. She'll be able to do that, or she'll be able to pick Darrell or, you know, a better partner than Josh.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll get there eventually.
That would be really weird if she did. If Cam was like, no, CT, you are my fucking partner. Like, that's her main goal throughout the season is to win him over. Okay, next is Leroy and Casey, and that's fine. I like Casey. Leroy, I've had my opinions about him, and he never seems to sway it. You know, it's always the same. I'm like, the guy's good in elimination. I'm sure he's awesome to just hang out and chill with, but there are things about him I just don't believe in or care for. You know,
which is basically in a final, he's not very good at puzzles.
Right. Yeah, and when it comes to the missions, he doesn't perform as good as you would want him to, and you know, and Bananas is no longer here, so I assumed maybe I'd like him now that his boyfriend's away. You know, is that gay? Gay. I was gonna say, is that gay shaming by just saying like, oh, well, Leroy, your boyfriend's missing or whatever, even though his live-in girlfriend's there. I don't know. I thought I was like, I was still disappointed in Leroy this episode, even though Bananas is gone and he's his own man now, but he's betraying CT so easily.
Yeah, well, Leroy is not his own man now. Leroy is Cam's man, and Cam is in charge. So Leroy has traded away Bananas, and now he has Cam. So at least Leroy is getting something out of the deal, all right? You know?
You don't know if he wasn't getting something out of the deal in that other relationship, right?
I guess.
Okay, so
I really like Leroy. I think Leroy's great. He's great to have on the show. While he's similar to Anissa and he's been there forever and he's never won, at least I like Leroy's personality. I don't like Anissa's personality. So at least Leroy is a likable dude and he's really cool, even if he hasn't won. And that's fine. And he's partnered with Casey, and I think Casey was super impressive last year in her rookie year. I like that pairing a lot. So
yeah. Do they stay together if
yeah, I don't see why not. I think they would both end up just being loyal to each other. I don't think they'd ever break up.
All right, next we have CT and Ashley. Right away, they're going to be picked, you know, main target or whatever. I think we already talked about how we feel about those two, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
We've gone over them plenty.
Big T and Joseph. Big T doesn't know who Joseph's name. She doesn't remember it. Remember? She calls him like Jonathan or something like that.
Yeah. And he's the guy who was just like sleeping during the party or whatever. Yeah. Sleeping on the couch.
Yeah. Yeah. I did like what Big T had to say though. She's like, wake up. She's like, deals are done on the golf course. And I was like, oh, that's good. That's a good line. Yeah, basically, we're all having fun. This is the perfect time to be like, hey, don't throw me in next episode, man. Like, let's work together and shit. Like, that's when everyone's liquored up and they're at the bar and shit like that. The homemade bar. They put it in the dome from X's One. They're like, what old structures do we have? Well, let's just use that. Call it a bar. Fuck it. Anything else? On to Lolo and Nam, right?
Yeah, I really like this team.
Yeah. I don't have too much written. She does say, again, I don't know why I'm obsessed with her sexuality, but she's like, Nam is in good shape, but also funny, which is, a good way to melt my heart. I'm like, oh, Lolo, are you having the hots for Nam? Goddamn Nam.
Yeah. Well, Lolo doesn't want to end up like 40-year-old virgin. So, clock's ticking. And like Nam is awesome. I think Nam is cool as hell. I love his voice. Like, it's like, I think he's from Germany or something.
Who knows? He's all fucking weird shoulder muscles and neck muscles. Like, it's all like, he's like this giant T,
Yeah. He's awesome. And Lolo is like a phenomenal athlete, even though she is kind of annoying. I really like this pairing. I think it's awesome. Because like the whole time it was going on and they're showing people partnering up, I'm like, who's getting Lolo? Who's getting Lolo? Like this was like really big to me. And I thought CT was going to get Lolo, but then it was like CT picking Ashley. And then I'm like, okay. I'm like, who's getting Lolo? And then I'm like, Nam. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I think it's cool.
They'll probably, I think they'd stick together if given the choice. Next, we have Amber M and Nelson. I don't know who the fucking Amber M is.
Me neither.
I wanted Nelson to have more. I would say Tori and Nelson better than Corey. I would say, I don't know. I felt like Nelson should have got someone more seasoned. Yeah. I'm really shocked.
But I think down the road, if who's it, Amber is his partner?
Yeah, Amber M.
Amber M, if she ends up going home, I think Nelson would be a good partner for someone to get.
Corey?
I mean, Cam, if like Cam could trade away Josh and get Nelson, I think that would be better for her.
Oh, way better. Yeah, for sure. Okay, and then finally, Meki in Live or Live in Mechi? I don't know. How do you pronounce those names?
Mechi.
Oh, okay.
Liv she's like the tan girl with the UK accent.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Kind of reminded me of what's her name from Bangladesh. She's no longer here. Yeah. Oh my God, I miss her so much. Why the fuck aren't my favorite women returning? Why do they gotta mature, Dave? Why do they gotta find a real life outside of this?
They're one and done. Some of them, or twice and gone. Zahida was awesome, but now she's gone.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
Fuck. Okay, so let's get on with the rest of the episode. We'll zip through this. We've already been talking for like an hour. All right, so TJ says there's only 10 skulls available. So that's so that means only 5 teams, I'm guessing, unless they compete as individuals. Who knows?
So I'm confused because I've heard people say like there's only 10 skulls. I'm like, only 10 is a lot.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it is a lot.
So you're gonna have 5 teams in the final, 5 pairing, like that's plenty. A lot of times if you have like partners, there's only like 3 teams in the final or 4 teams.
Yeah, that's true.
So
wait,
plenty.
Didn't they have a lot of people in the final for Total Madness though? Like a lot?
Yeah, but like those were like large teams. It wasn't partners.
Total Madness.
If you look at Rivals, like Rivals, Battle of the X's 2, like those types of seasons, there's either 3 or 4 partners or teams.
I guess the only wrinkle is that there's only those. So after they get their skull, that's all. It's a limited supply. So Natalie might be going in again,
Yeah, you're going to have to defend your skull at some point, probably before the finish.
But so that brings up another thing. Okay, well, what if someone who has a skull already wins and sends in people, let's say all the skulls are taken, right? But they somehow put in 2 people that don't have skulls against each other. What's going to happen to them then? There's no skull to fight for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I
mean
don't
that's
know.
extremely possible.
You just broke the game, Vince.
I swear to God, I
I
should be a producer. I
well,
want in on this thing.
I think in that case, whoever is the secret agent or whoever wins, who is like Anissa and Fessy, they would end up voting in a team that has a skull. You know, you'd have
But
to vote
why
in
though?
someone
If
who
you
has one.
oh, you have to, you think? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
would have to
Yeah.
send in someone to defend their skull, or the house would have to vote in people, and you can only choose from the people who have a skull.
Okay, now imagine this though. After those 10 skulls are given out, and then there's an elimination coming up, but there's like 4 eliminations coming up, and so you only put in someone with a skull. What if that works to the advantage of someone who's just like, I just want to wait until the very last elimination to go in? So yeah, I'm going to skate by until that point. You know what I mean? So there could be plenty of people who are like, well, I didn't get a skull for the first 10 eliminations, but I got to glide to the final and then fight for one there because, yeah, I don't know. It's flawed, Dave. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Moving on. Let's move on to the house. And it looks like it was built by the challenge producers themselves. They're like, none of us has been in construction, you know, like there's no architectural flair. There's no design to it. It's a box, man. And the
It's
walls,
like it's just like a tin metal sheeting
yeah.
box, a bunch of rectangles. Now, keep in mind, like I am not in construction in any way. However, I do realize that they are in Iceland, right? And it snows a lot and it's cold. It's probably pretty windy. There's snow. You need an angular roof, like an A-frame, so the snow doesn't collect on top of this building. So I'm already
Right.
foreseeing problems in the future. It's not rounded in any way. So like the wind is going to do its toll. The snow on the roof over the winter is going to wreak havoc on it. This structure, I give it like 4 or 5 years and they're going to have to tear it down because of all the damage it's going to take in this environment.
Well, yeah, well, with COVID going on, we kind of talked about this off camera, where it's like this is like the UFC's Fight Island, where they're like they just kind of built this spot, and that's where they'll always be. You know, who knows how long this pandemic is going to be happening or whatever. So maybe that's why everything's just kind of you know, it's kind of thrown together. Like the bar is right next to the house in a big bubble. You know.
Yeah. It's their own version of like the bubble where like in the NBA they went to Florida near like Disney World and they had like the hotels and then they had like the basketball courts and you had to either be at the basketball courts or the hotel. You couldn't like leave the bubble. And that's how so they built this. I still don't understand like why you couldn't have just rented a house and then just don't let anyone come there. And then but I guess the reason I wanted to do that was if you rent somebody's house, that's a big house, they're probably not going to let you build a bar to have there. So I think they just rented out some land. They built, this might just be a temporary structure where they put it up. And then after the season's done, they're just going to disassemble it all and then move it and reassemble it somewhere else in the future. That might be what they're going for. Because they probably just rented out some guy's land where they're like, hey, I got 500 acres here. We're going to rent it out for, 6 weeks. We're going to shoot our show and then we'll take it down.
Yeah. Real quick, I don't think I like the cold challenges where like you could see them visually shaking while they're waiting for TJ to announce shit, like it's not a good look. I don't know.
It's the worst. Like go to Brazil or go to Thailand where, it's sunny, you have blue water. Instead, it's just like cloudy and gloomy. Everything is like black, gray, or like a dead brownish green. I don't know. It's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, and that's not what I think of when I think of, again, secret agents. I think paradise, drinking martinis in paradise.
Some exotic location.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we already talked about the club that was built next door in the dome. Let's get into deliberations. Right away, CT, because he's been hearing some rumblings that their names were getting thrown out there, and that's because jilted Cam was like, "Oh, we're gonna get Anissa to turn on them." Right? She was like, "Anissa, people have been overlooking you the entire time. They don't believe in you and shit like that." And Anissa's like, "You're right," and stuff like that. Cam really kind of went to work on Anissa, I feel like. Remember when she was talking about her mom and like she was like crying? She's like, "We had to shoplift and shit like that." And Anissa's like, "Oh my God, I totally feel you," and shit like that.
Yeah,
right?
That was very confusing because Cam is telling this story, and because the fact that her grandmother was an immigrant, it's okay to shoplift. Like, there are plenty of immigrants who did it the right way and worked hard and got a job and made a life here. But it's like, her shoplifting and getting deported, like, that, you don't need to mention that part of the story. You could just say she got deported. You don't need to, throw out the crime she committed.
But that spoke to Anissa though, and that somehow convinced Anissa. She's like, "Yeah, I need to make a big move too," because she's convinced that Wes doesn't respect her or these veterans don't respect her. You know what I mean? Like Cam didn't even say anything specific. She was just like, "Anissa, no one believes in you. Therefore, you should throw in these veterans who are probably going to look, after you before, they're going to throw in a rookie before you, Anissa. Like they don't feel threatened by you. Why do you have to attack them right away?" So I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why Anissa always makes it like right before the final, before she goes home. It's because people don't throw her in right away because they're not threatened by her. So why are you going to try and go out and piss people off immediately? Put a target on your back? Because now you probably won't even make it to the end,
Yeah.
At least that way you would kind of theoretically have a chance. You at least make it to the end rather than getting... But yeah, Cam works her political prowess here and kind of gets Anissa on her side and gets Anissa to like, "Hey, we're going to go after CT and we're going to try and get him gone." So there's like... You have Anissa and Fessy. Fessy kind of just does what Anissa wants, it seems like.
Yeah.
You have Leroy and Casey, and then Cam and Josh, and then I'm trying to think. There's also other people in this alliance. I think maybe Nany might be going along with this.
I think Fessy said because him and Corey and Nelson are good, they're kind of, in a way, in alliance together then.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just kind of said, "Well, your friends and my friends, we're going to have to work together." So I think that's what really kind of helped push the whole veterans thing. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, this is going to be deliberation. They're going to go into a booth and they're all going to vote secretly and shit like that. CT does say like right away, is like, "Hey, this is too soon for big moves. We don't know what's going on. You don't want to make... if you're going to take a shot, don't miss. It's really early." And he's absolutely correct. This is what's going to happen at the elimination. He's going to end up being safe. And people aren't going to be like, "Oh, God damn it, we lost Ashley." They're going to be like, "Fuck, CT's still here. Wes is still here." Like,
yep.
That's the main takeaway. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is like, it's way too early to make a big move. Like Bananas would say, you don't want to ruffle any feathers.
Well, that actually reminded me of Rivals 2, the beginning. That's when CT and everyone was like, "Hey, let's just throw in Bananas at the very beginning." And they're like, "Yeah, cool." And then the twist was like, only girls vote in boys and only boys vote in girls. And Bananas like, "How do you like that boat rocking, boys?" and shit like that,
Yeah.
So it's a very real thing. CT was saying it very simply and put it out there and shit. But that's when Leo and some other people were like talking back at him and shit. They were like basically saying, "You're outnumbered this time." This is the rookie revolution.
Yeah. I like the fact that CT was going around beforehand and he's just like, "Hey, have you heard my name being thrown out there at all?" Just to see if people would lie about it or not. And just like person after person is just like, "No, I haven't heard your name." Just like blatantly lying because everyone had talked about it at this point. And CT is just, just gauging to see whether people would lie to his face. And basically everyone did lie to his face. And he's like, okay, all right.
Okay, so everyone votes in, and then eventually Fessy and Anissa get to see who the compromised agents are. It's CT and Ashley, but then they get to see who all voted for them. Then Fessy says, should we tell someone? And Anissa's like, no, absolutely not. But this is the problem. What's going to happen when someone else wins and they're going to be like, hey, why didn't you tell us about this information? Why didn't you tell us that this is what a winner gets to do? Like, why would you keep that away? Were you assuming you were going to keep winning and keep this information from us? I think Fessy was kind of onto something. Maybe he should have spread it out to his alliance, you know?
Yeah, I don't understand either. Like, what is the point of keeping this secret? Because the next person is going to find out in the next episode anyways.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't matter right now because it's the first week. It's going to matter once you get into like the middle of the season and you see someone kind of betray someone, or, you know, it doesn't matter now until at least the numbers kind of dwindle a bit and then people start making moves. Then it will matter.
Remember,
like, now it kind of means nothing.
Right. Remember in Fresh Meat 2 when CJ and whoever his partner was, they didn't have to run the elimination and they didn't tell any, they went back to the house and said, oh yeah, then you have to do this and you have to drink this thing and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And when it finally comes out that they never actually ran the elimination, they're like, why? Get the fuck out of our alliance, you know? Yeah, I think this is a big mistake. I think Fessy should have been like, let's just tell our alliance. But Anissa, of course, she's like, I'm playing my own game. It's the same thing with Anissa.
Yeah.
God damn it. Okay, so it is kind of cool, really quick, that Anissa and Fessy can't see the names of the people that voted for them. After a while, it just kind of disappears. It's very, what should have happened is like Mission Impossible. Like, you know, the list will self-destruct in 10 seconds. And the screen just blows up. They're like, what the fuck? You know, that would have been great.
It would have been sweet if there was a countdown on there.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to the elimination. In the area, the place is called The Crater. This is amazing looking. I loved it. I love the look. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it reminds me of like James Bond Moonraker.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, I think you're a bigger Bond fan than I am. I've watched them and it's fine. And I haven't watched any of the new ones or anything like that, but yeah.
I mean, the newer ones are not that great. There's, I thought Casino Royale was good. Quantum of Solace was pretty good, but then the last couple have not been so good. But I like the classic Bond ones. Those are the coolest to me.
Yeah, R.I.P. Sean Connery.
Yeah, and yeah, Sean Connery is the greatest Bond of all time. But so there are like lots of locations for Bond. So they've always done ice ones, whether it was Pierce Brosnan, where he was, in, I don't remember where it was, Norway or something. But they'll go to icy locales as well.
Yeah, but they mix it up. This one's just like all ice locale. Okay, so this is kind of weird because they get there and then it's there that TJ announces to everyone who the compromised player is. So that means every player has to pack up their bags, get dressed, stretch out, be prepared, because you never know if you're going in or not, So that kind of sucks for them. So it's exposed that CT and Ashley, they're compromised. And they ask, hey, Fessy, Anissa, do you guys want to come in and get your skull? They say no. Again, I don't know. I think if there was less formidable people down there, then it would have been a good time. But no, CT and Ashley, they're headbangers.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to happen over the next couple of episodes. And we saw it with the Red Skulls last year. Some of these stronger players realize they want to go in against a weaker person to get their skull. So remember when like Jenny went in against That UFO alien girl, the little like tiny stick of a girl.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I don't remember her name, but like she was a total pushover and she had zero chance at winning. And like that's what you want to do. If there's, a weak competitor, you want to go in there. And so next I could see like the following week, if one of the, you know, if you see a competitor you think you can beat, why not go ahead and get your skull? But there's people who are going to play aggressive and then people who are just going to try and play the waiting game a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so this is where Aneesa, like, they get to choose a team to go against CT and Ashley, and this is where Aneesa's like, I've been just, written off and shit like that, and people are gonna make a big move. So am I. I'm done playing other people's game. It's all about me. It's the same shit she's always said every goddamn season. Throws in Wes and Natalie, but oh shit, the big twist is that it's just a female elimination night.
Yes. Yeah. So this was production. This was not set up in the rules. They came up with this like that day.
Yeah, right? They didn't want CT and Wes to go against each other, you think?
No, they didn't want to lose one of the, you have CT and Wes are the two biggest stars on the show this season. You don't have Bananas there, so it comes down to CT and Wes. There's no way they were going to let them go against each other. And then they threw in that twist. They're like, well, because if it would have worked out the other way, if there was like the two girls were like Tori and Lolo or Tori and Cam or something, they would have been like, well, no, we're going to have, Josh and Corey go against each other because we don't care if one of those guys goes home. We don't want, the big stars to go home. I feel like they kind of rigged it that way a little bit, but It's kind of to be expected. And it's like, that's why you don't try and make a big power move right off the bat. Aneesa really screwed up by doing this. And she was kind of, talked into it by Cam because Cam was resentful towards CT. And I really think like Aneesa picking Wes and Natalie to go in against CT, that didn't even make sense to me because Wes is not going for you, Aneesa, the same way that Wes is not going after Josh. Like, like Wes does not care about you people. Like you are beneath him. He doesn't care. Wes wants to play the game a little bit. He's not trying to make you an enemy immediately. Maybe down the road you have to worry about him, but right now, like what Aneesa needed to do was to get rid of some strong young competitors. I thought throwing in Lolo and Nam, that was the move to make here.
Yeah.
Because you're getting rid of someone who they're not in your alliance. They don't know you and they could easily be working against you at some point, but they're a rookie. So that would have been the smart move. I feel like going for Wes wasn't even your enemy right now, but now you turned him into your enemy.
Yeah, exactly. And it just occurred to me that I wonder if a lot of veterans are going to get triggered every time they hear the word Nam. Although how many veterans are watching the challenge, so never mind. It's irrelevant. All right, so they're going to play Operation Fire Escape, which is basically Hogtie from the Ruins. They try and make it better than it actually is. They're like, you're going to do this while it's on fire. It's actually not on fire. There's an entirely other beam above the beam with the rope on it, and that beam is on fire. So it's almost like non-existent,
Yeah. So I remember them saying it was going to be on fire, and then I watched the entire thing, and then I was like, I remember there being like flames in the background, but the rope is not on anything that's on fire. I don't know.
That would have been kind of cool. Like you're tied, and then you see the fire slowly like burn down the ropes, like coming down the ropes. You're like, oh my god, I'm gonna burn alive. Well, this goes. There's a little bit of a hiccup. I think it's the only thing that made it interesting was that little hump in the middle.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you want to say it would have been more interesting if it was a faster one without the hump. I don't know, but
yeah. And so Ashley, I thought like, oh, Ashley, she weighs like nothing. She's like 105 pounds. She should be able to do this. But then you kind of start to realize she's 105 pounds, but like she has no muscle on her at all. So she doesn't have the core strength. A lot of this is about core strength to move your lower body and upper body. And like Ashley just really doesn't have it. So you could tell she was struggling and kind of dangling there a lot of the time. And Natalie wasn't super impressive either, but she was still able to do it. Natalie has enough strength to be able to do it. It took her a little bit to get going. And it's like they kind of presented it in a way where all these edits and cuts, and they're just showing people screaming at them, and then they'll never show both of them at the same time so you can actually see who's winning. It seemed like Natalie was kind of trouncing her, but they kind of showed it in a way to make it seem closer than it was.
Right. Yeah. Well, eventually Natalie does win. She wins a skull, so she will be in the final. Well, I mean, assuming she doesn't get picked again to go in against. And yeah, you're right. I mean, she doesn't do the greatest at that. She does get through it, but maybe some people aren't as intimidated by her. You know? You don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that might have just been them showing the parts at the beginning where she was trying to figure it out. But once she got rolling, then she did fine. It's kind of hard to tell because it was the same way with the mission and this elimination where the editing is such just a bunch of crap thrown at a wall where you just can't decipher what the hell you're watching. And you just like, I just want to watch and see who wins. But they edit it in a way where it's like impossible to really tell coherently what's happening. So it's just like, okay, so-and-so won. I think they did good, but it's kind of hard to tell because you can't ever see more than like a second and a half before they cut away.
I think I do recall now a moment, I think twice, I think this happened twice, where Natalie's ropes actually go on top of each other.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that kind of fucked her up too because she was throwing a rope, but like way like with, you know, big throw of the rope. So, okay, so now the big twist or another twist is that Natalie, okay, Ashley's gone. Natalie has a skull, but now she can choose to either stay with Wes or go with CT or go with any person. I don't think TJ said you could take any guy you want or girl. So I don't know.
Yes, it was
but it's annoying.
It was by person or partner. Yeah, so she can choose anyone, it seems like.
Yeah, and then you brought up the whole thing like, okay, so what happens with CT and Wes if she leaves them both? They're just free agents. I assume maybe they'll then become partners, but no, it makes more sense if like you're working alone, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to be continued. It was very annoying, that portion, and I don't know. I think the still has promise. Still has promise to me. I'll definitely tune in next week. Yeah.
I really like this setup and this premise for the show. I think it's interesting. Being able to kind of swap partners. It's kind of like free agents in a way, but like done better. I feel like it's an improved version. Double agents is twice as good as free agents, I feel like, because everyone's for themselves, but it is partners, but you get to kind of choose your partner at certain points. The one thing that I am bummed about, and it's so weird because I hate Johnny Bananas, this season is like freaking tailor-made for Johnny Bananas. Like, I feel like he would fit in so well, and to be able to swap partners, he would be a coveted partner by people. I think it's really missing something by missing Bananas, and I can't believe I'm saying that because I don't even like Bananas, but it just seems like this premise, he would be great.
I think this is also an improvement on the skull idea, where there's limited skulls, because people kept on wondering, like, well, what if this is the last time we have a chance to get a skull? You know?
Yeah, that is true.
It narrows it down. Yeah. So, hey, good. I mean, I was gonna say great episode, good episode. It has its flaws. This is like Mission Impossible 3, the one that I never watched, where I'm like, Yeah, J.J. Abrams. I'm a bigger fan of Mission Impossible 1. Yeah.
I think I did see 3. It was good. Yeah.
Was it? Okay. All right.
I mean, this was like 15 years ago at least. It was forever ago. It might have been 20 years ago.
Yeah. That's back when Philip Seymour Hoffman was alive. Before he was poisoned for knowing too much or not enough about heroin, the heroin deal. Yeah, this is dark. All right, so I think this is about the time we should probably part ways. Maybe end the podcast, right?
Okay.
Out there, listeners and viewers now, like, subscribe, comment, smash that like button.
And
apparently,
if Vince's OnlyFans.
Yeah, yes, if you dare. Just remember to get rid of that laptop afterwards. All right, so yeah, this was Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud
and Famous Dave.
Oop, cut. Cutting. We should have said no, this self-destructs